Hello, everyone. I had a request about 5 months back to do a review on the Boker Kansei Nori with the copper scales. I know I'm about 5 months late here, but I figured better late than never. This was the first knife that I had bought new. Since then, I've owned about three different knives. My current daily everyday carry is a Boker Strike, the flip, the auto version. That's been amazing for me. I've mostly been using this knife here for things, like I said in my last video, kind of like a church knife. So if I'm trying to look classy but still carry a knife with me, or if I'm going to a place where I don't think I'm going to need a full broad blade knife and I just need something that can open packages and things like that, then that's what I'll be end up using this guy for. Because of that, I can't give you a full-on EDC 1 year review of how this has stood up, but I can give you a year of regular use and what this knife looks like after that, especially from myself, who I'm still an amateur knife collector. I really haven't bought many other knives beyond the couple that I own, so I am not well versed in how to maintain my knives properly, how to clean them. When it comes to sharpening, I'm still a major novice at that in that area. So this will hopefully give a good insight into what these knives look like when they're handled by somebody who honestly just needs it as a tool and isn't really trying to covet it as a piece. Um, as you can see, the copper scales have held up really well. Just like I said in my last video, they've taken on a very nice patina there. This has allowed them to really come into their own, where they're a lot more brown here. And as you can see, since I don't use it all the time, you have this nice sheen right here around the clip, where I normally, if I'm holding the knife, I'm not actually really pressing on that part of the knife there. What this allows, or what I think looks really cool about this, is that if anybody who doesn't know a lot about knives sees something like this, they can be like, wow, why is it that the rest of the copper looks super dirty, but then it's really shiny right here? And I could explain to them how copper really attracts dirt and all that kind of stuff off of your hands. This is something that you can polish, so if you really like the look of shiny copper, you can polish this off and it'll look almost brand new. I'm somebody, though, who really enjoys the patina. That's why I bought this with the copper scales and not with the, in my opinion, very tacky other colors that they had in the stainless steel there. Speaking of stainless steel, the hardware here has done very, very well. It's still extremely shiny. I haven't had any issues with it. I've taken the scales off a number of times on this knife specifically, and all of the hardware seems to still work very, very well. I don't have any issues with the blade actuation. When I'm trying to draw the blade here, it still makes a good snap, and it still comes out completely, and it'll still lock there. It's not going to move anywhere. The the actual locking mechanism inside of here still works very, very well. It pushes and actuates just how I think it would. It hasn't really lost any of its spring. And then you get that satisfying click noise when you close the knife, which would be something like that there, which I really enjoy, especially when I'm trying to fidget around with this. You can kind of pop it out a little bit and then close it again, pop it out and close it again. I haven't had any real wear on the actual stuppling here on the back, which when the knife is actually out, it gives you hopefully something that you can kind of grip your finger onto so it doesn't go sliding down, which is very nice. As for the blade, I have not sharpened this to the degree that I should. I was informed that this is VG10 steel, which makes sense. It's a very soft steel. It's very easy to sharpen, but it also does wear out very easily, which is one of the reasons why I'm very glad that I didn't use this as a daily carry knife, because I would have ended up probably having to buy another blade at some point, simply just because of the amount of sharpening that I would have to do. If you try to cut anything more than just a piece of paper, even cardboard itself, it will wear down on this blade very easily, and I know that from experience. The I've Obviously I'm not the best at sharpening them, but sharpening does seem a lot easier than it does on my Boker Strike, which does have a slightly harder steel on it. The sheen is still there. The blade still is nice and shiny. I really haven't scratched it that much because I haven't really used it on anything that would scratch it. Like I said in my last video, you really don't want to be jamming this thing into wood or trying. You could try and whittle with it, but I would recommend most likely other knives for that. This really is just a church knife. It's very good for letter opening and something if you're wanting to look classy and have something that looks nice, but also serves a function. My overall thoughts here for this knife, I really enjoy this as something that I can take out every once in a while if I don't really think that I'm going to be doing very much. I'm an avid outdoorist. I like to have knives that serve a very utilitarian purpose, but it is really nice to have a knife like this in my collection that allows me to kind of bring out something that looks fancy and hopefully, unlike a lot of other very broad-bladed knives, somebody can actually ask, oh, hey, what kind of knife is that? Where does that come from? And I can talk about the Japanese ancestry and things like that. I like to have conversation pieces if I'm going to some place that I don't feel like I need to use a knife purely for the knife aspect. Overall, I'd give this knife about a 3 out of 5. I don't know if it's absolutely the best knife to own as your first knife, unless you are doing very light work with it and it serves that kind of a purpose for you. But it is definitely something that I would recommend somebody add to their collection there.